Welcome to the Just Live podcast. I'm your host, Olivia Stevens, and I'm inviting you in on my personal journey of learning and discovering how to live a life with more connection, joy, and purpose. I'll be sitting down with people from all walks of life to dive into topics including trauma, mental health, mindfulness, the nuances of love and relationships, and much more. I hope these conversations empower you to expand on what serves you, release what doesn't, and just live. Hi, welcome back to the Just Live podcast. I'm your host, Olivia Stevens, and here we are again. I feel like I haven't recorded myself in a while, so this feels a little weird, but anyway, for those that follow me, you might know that recently I did a half marathon, and I am not a runner at all. I don't know what possessed me to agree to sign up for the half marathon. I remember back in December, a couple work colleagues / friends were at an event that I hosted, and they just threw it out there like, hey, we're going to do a half marathon, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, oh, okay. They're like, let's do it. And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. I don't even think I realized what a half marathon was. I think I thought I was agreeing to like a 10K or something. Anyway, like I said, I'm not a runner. And the last time I even ran was I did a 5K for St. Jude in 2019. I don't run. I don't go for runs. I don't run at the gym. I'm not a runner. I never enjoyed running. I remember wanting to always be sick the day we had to run the mile in middle school. Yeah, I'm not really sure, again, why I was like, yeah, that's a great idea. Let's do it. I'm not really sure, again, why I agreed to do it, because I don't like running. And I think I was probably just in a place not too long after the breakup where I think when you go through something really heartbreaking and challenging, an experience makes you question your worth and what you're capable of and your strength and your power, you may find yourself attempting to prove that you're worthy, prove that you're capable, prove that you're strong. And I don't think in that moment that's what crossed my mind, at least not consciously, but probably subconsciously I felt like I had something to prove, and maybe that this was a way to prove that. So I knew that obviously you can't just show up to a half marathon, especially for somebody that's not a runner. And I'm definitely active. I like to work out. I go to the gym. I lift weights. I do HIIT workouts. I like to walk a lot. But like I said, I don't run. So I knew I had to start training for this race. And interesting, basically to sum up what I'm going to talk about for the next couple of minutes. I know this sounds really cliche and this is not a new concept, but the process is really what it's all about. It really is not about saying you ran 13 miles or crossing that finish line, within a certain time frame. For me, what I got from the training far exceeds anything that I could have gotten from crossing the finish line and actually completing the race. When you've got to do something like this, you have to make a commitment, not just to the task itself, but to yourself. And I had to commit to showing up. And it's not just about showing up to put the miles in each week, get out there and hit the pavement, but it's really showing up for yourself mentally, because that's the biggest challenge, I know, at least for me. The biggest challenge for me personally is always my mind and the barriers that my mind puts up to keep me safe or to keep me comfortable and to keep me kind of in what's familiar. So I knew that that was going to be a challenge. I also knew that my mind was going to try and use various tactics to stop, my progress, or to stop me from accomplishing or pushing further past the limits that my mind thinks are there. So I really had to work on that. And for anyone out there that feels like they can't accomplish a goal that they set, or feels like they are staying within these like constraints of their mind, or these limits that are placed, sign up for something you have never done before that you think you literally cannot do, because you will prove to yourself that you can. It is actually incredible. I was like, how am I going to do 13 miles? I literally can hardly run 3 miles, like without feeling exhausted, without feeling gassed, without getting cramps, without having to stop. Like, I was like, there's no way. Like, how am I going to do this? But I know that I've pushed myself physically in the past before, not with running specifically, but in other aspects. And I was like, your body can physically do this. Hundreds of thousands of people run this distance all the time. This isn't impossible. Your mind just has to believe that you can do it, and you will be able to do it. You can physically do it. Like, it is possible. So every time I was running, I had to fight against my mind and the limits that it kept wanting to place on me, saying, like, your foot hurts, your knee hurts, you can't breathe, like, slow down, stop. Like, I had to keep pushing past those and reminding myself, I'm safe, I'm not going to die, keep pushing, keep growing, go faster, don't give up. And I also had to fight the thoughts, not just of like, oh, this is physically hard, give up. I had to fight the thoughts of, you're not good enough, you can't do this, just give in. What do you have to prove? Like, just go home. And that was challenging every single time I was running. But I pushed past it every time. And it was like kind of incredible to feel like I had this like hype woman out there with me every time I was running. And it was like that person was front and center, and not the other side of me that lets all the negative thoughts come through and allows me to think, things that aren't true about myself, things that keep me stuck and keep me from pushing forward. So I grew and grew, and the voice grew louder and louder. Like, every time I would run, it was like, I could like see myself outside of me when I was running, being like, go, you got this, push, like, fucking move. Push harder, go, don't give up. Anytime I like approached a hill, it was like, you are this hill isn't forever, keep going, the hill is almost gone, go, 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 go. So like the 4 months that I was training, I think were so crucial to me and like my healing process from the breakup, and just like evolving in life and growing. Because I had to be there for myself. And if I wasn't, I wouldn't have been able to do it. And so I had to make like a true effort every time I was running to be there for myself and to support myself, and to allow that person to be in charge and not the side of my mind, or, whatever you want to call it, that's trying to keep me stuck and safe and small. And so every time I would push further, I like proved to myself, I can do this. I do deserve this. I can keep going. And it was like each time I would go running, I was keeping a promise to myself. And when you keep promises to yourself, you build trust. And when you build trust, you build confidence. And when you have confidence, you can go out and attempt to achieve anything you want to. And I know that sounds incredibly cheesy, but it's so true. In the beginning, like I said, of the training, I was like, there is no way I'm going to do 13 miles. Like, I just can't fathom it. I literally couldn't fathom it. And I was like, God, at what point am I going to give up in this process? Like, at what point am I going to throw the towel in? At what point am I going to make an excuse? At what point is like my foot going to hurt too much or my knee going to hurt too much for me to be like, I can't do this? But it never happened. I just kept going. And it was like I had to do this. Like I had to prove that I could do this. I don't know why, but it's like once I started it, it was like, I can't stop. I cannot stop. Like my foot has to be fucking broken for me to like not run this race. Like I don't care. I was in a lot of pain. My ankles were hurting. My feet were hurting. My knees were hurting. My back was hurting. But I knew I had to do it. So then the race day came. It was like the greatest day ever. I'm going to get so emotional talking about this. Ah. These are happy tears, I promise. Just like means a lot to me that I was able to accomplish this goal and like do something I've never done before. That was like one of the best days of my life, I think. Sounds so crazy. I'm going to take a pause really quick. Oh, look, I have Kleenex. Shocking. Oh, makeup's coming off. Oh, well. How do people, like, not cry when they talk about stuff that they do? Anybody? Advice? Is this on? Yeah, okay. Anyway, it was, like, the most beautiful day. It was perfect weather. Absolutely perfect weather. And started the race, and I felt like I was doing like a good pace, and actually like I was getting nervous because my pace was a lot quicker than like what I had been doing in my training. In the training, the most I ran was 10 miles, and I did that one time. So I was like, this feels good, but I don't want to overexert myself and then like come like mile 7 or 8 feel like completely exhausted. But I was like, just this feels like a good pace. Just keep going. If you have to slow down, you slow down. So, you know, each mile that came and went, I felt really good. And I kind of kept a very similar pace throughout the whole race. And I actually never stopped running. Like, it still blows my mind because every training run I did, at some point or another, I was like just tired and had to slow down and like walk a couple paces or walk for, 15 to 30 seconds at least. And that never happened during this race. Like, it's just like I just kept moving and I just kept going. It was just like the craziest thing. And obviously, like, you're approaching the finish line and just like all these emotions rush over you, and it felt so great. And I'm so proud of myself. And I seriously, if you can take anything away from me just rambling on for however long about this, like, do something you've never done before. Do something that scares you. Do something you think you cannot do. You don't know how much pride and confidence and growth will come from it when you accomplish it, when you set that goal out and you make that commitment to yourself. It's just like, I'm so proud of myself, and I just recommend to everyone to keep doing things you're scared of, because you're just going to grow and change and just become so powerful and so confident in yourself that like nothing will scare you. Like nothing will make you feel afraid or make you feel like I can't do that, or I'm not capable, or that's too hard for me. That's too unknown for me. You're going to do it, and then you're going to want to do more and more and more. And one thing that like is really interesting to me is like after the race, was over, probably like the next day after all the like adrenaline and dopamine and everything start wearing off, I felt really sad. I was in this weird funk that like, I was sad that it was over. Like, I wanted to go back to that like place where I was in my mind, where I was running and it was just me and my heart and my thoughts like pushing me and my higher self, like cheering me on. I like felt like I was in this world like I'd never been in before, like this dimension in time or something that like nothing else mattered. I didn't think about anything or anyone but just me and how far I've come. And I just felt the breeze and the sun, and I was just running and in this zone, and I was like so sad that that like feeling was over. I was like, God, how do I get back to that place in my mind that felt so clear and I felt so empowered? And I know that I can find that feeling again, but I think what's amazing is that I know that that feeling exists and that I can access it. And it doesn't have to be this fleeting like place and time that I'll never be able to feel again. And I know that that feeling was coming from being in this place and doing this thing that I've never done before and like proving to myself, you can fucking do this. You are a badass. You are amazing. You are so strong. You are so capable. And I'm just so grateful that I, took the leap and signed up and did the race and like never gave up and never let like, that negative voice in the back of your head like take over and say like, I can't do this, give up. I'm so glad that I like pushed beyond that and pushed those feelings aside and kept going and kept pushing. And I hope that this somehow can encourage you or anybody out there to like do something you've never done before. And like, I promise you it'll be so worth it. I think one thing I did want to talk about was that throughout the training, I like a lot of the time was like, I can't wait for this to be over. I'm so tired of having to go out and run all the time and train. Like, I just want to get back into the gym and my normal routine. And then, after the race, I was so sad that it was over. And it just made me realize, and it was a reminder to just like not rush the process, we always think we're just like, oh, just get me there. Just get me to that point. Just like once I'm done this, I'll be there. And it's like, I don't think we realize like the beauty and the growth that comes from being in the process and in the thick of it. It really is about the journey. And I hate that so cheesy, but I don't care because it's so true. And it is true because, each time I would go out and push myself, there was so much growth that came from that. And like, I would build my confidence a little more, and I developed a stronger relationship with myself every time I left the park from running, because I was there for myself. It's like no one is there but you, and you have no choice but to cheer yourself on as loud as possible, and just you silence the negative thoughts completely, because it's like you need everything you can to keep pushing, and there is no room for that. And I want to bring that into everyday life, and I'm thinking about myself, or thinking, I'm not good enough, or I don't belong somewhere, or this and that. It's like, no, like, where is that woman that was on the field or the track, whatever you want to call it? Bring her with you. She needs to be with you every step of the way, every day, because she was always cheering so loud and I'm like, where is this girl when I'm looking in the mirror? Where is this girl or this woman when I think, I'm not pretty enough or smart enough? But she's there and she's louder and she's stronger. So I'm very thankful for that. And I think it's interesting too. I know in the last episode I talked about having to move back home and how frustrating and challenging that's been, but remembering again about the process and the journey and like what are these challenges and struggles gifting you? Like what gifting me? Like what gifts are these providing to you? You're able to slow down. You have the support of your family. You're saving money. You have all these opportunities for growth, like in this space. And I have to remember that, like, this journey is important and not to try and diminish it or to rush to the next place as much as I want to be there, like desperately. It's like, come back to the present and remember and look around at like what gifts, the pain and the suffering can provide, and like what can you learn from it? What is it teaching you, because it's here for a reason. And I just think back at the running and the training that I was doing, and like everything that it taught me and everything it gave me. And it's just funny that I was like wanting it to be over so bad. I'm like, I can't wait for this race to get here. I just want this to be done. And like after the fact, I just wanted so desperately to like keep running, to like be right back where I was on that, on the course, because it just felt so good and I didn't want it to be over. And I just look back at all the times I was there for myself during the training, and I'm just really proud and grateful for that process, grateful for the time it took and what I was able to develop and to conquer and in that process. So if there's two things you can take away from this episode, I would say, one, do something that you truly think you cannot do. Do something that seems scary, challenging, painful, and don't rush the process. Lean into it. Lean into the fucking shitty, annoying moments. Be patient. Love what it's doing, even if it might seem tough and challenging in the moment, because it's only going to make, the destination that much better. So thank you. And I appreciate you listening as always. I appreciate you subscribing. If you feel so inclined, I'd love for you to share this with someone that you think it may resonate with. And thank you. And I hope you have a great day. See you next time. Bye.